Assalamualaikum and very good evening to all speakers, moderator number two, and fellow audience. Today, I would like to thank everyone for participating in this forum entitled Continual of Adat Perpatih Practice in the Future Society. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nora Kamisha binti Zakaria as moderator number one for this forum. Next, I will pass to moderator number two.
My name is Nina Syahada binti Ni Amaranti as moderator number 2.
My name is Shazwani binti Azizan and I'm speaker number 1.
And Asfaridun, speaker number 2.
My name is Ali Syami Behan Sudin. I'm a speaker of number 2.
Adat Perpatih represent a form of lifestyle that is older than the English common law, which originated on around the year 1066 AD. Adat Perpatih originated in the Minangkabau world. It is introduced into Negeri Sembilan by the immigrants who opened up this province around the 12th century. Adat Perpatih was practiced by the rural community in the hinterland of Negeri Sembilan. It has been modified over time. However, the core element of this system continues to exist to this day. This system is not static, however, as a substitute dynamic, in that it offers room opportunity for development in reaction to convert instances and circumstances. Thus, it creates worries for the continual of Adat Perpatih practice in future society. As we know that the lifestyle of the future society will be completely different from the present lifestyle, affected by a few factors such as Industrial Revolution, which includes technological advancement and changes in the lifestyle. So, I would like to pass the floor to Ms. Sazwani as speaker number 1.
Thank you, moderator. Adat Perpatih is one of the main practice of customary law, especially by in Negeri Sembilan. However, the practice of customary law Adat Perpatih in the current society have been decreased due to lack of knowledge and understanding, modern culture and lifestyle, and migration of people to urban areas. Therefore, to overcome the problems, there are few bodies that can help to promote and ensure the continuance of Adat Perpatih practice in future society. The first one is role of Negeri Sembilan government. Negeri Sembilan government play an important role to ensure the continual practice of Adat Perpatih in society. Negeri Sembilan government have provided information related to Adat Perpatih such as overview of Adat Perpatih practice, hierarchy levels of Adat Perpatih leaderships at their official portals so public can easily obtain the information through internet. State Museum Negeri Sembilan has established the Adat Perpatih unit to amplify and unify the Adat Perpatih in our society. According to Adila, Negeri Sembilan government have provided RM500,000 to State Museum Negeri Sembilan to organize events and programs that enhance the culture and practice of Adat Perpatih in Negeri Sembilan. One of the programs that are being organized is Bengkel Adat Lingkungan dan Suai Kenal Ibu Soko. In June 2021, UiTM Serban collaborate with State Museum Negeri Sembilan and YTM Undang Luar Rembau Negeri Sembilan have organized a webinar called Seminar Antarabangsa Perkongsian Ilmu Adat Perpatih. The aim of this webinar is to give overview of Adat Perpatih to students and publics. The second one is role of Negeri Sembilan community. According to UNESCO, it's important to have an engagement from community to ensure the sustainability and continuity of Adat Perpatih as intangible cultural heritage in future society. Therefore, the community itself needs to play their roles in practicing and or implementing the Adat Perpatih customs and traditional practice. For example, most Malay Negeri Sembilan is speaking in their own dialect and Minangkabau houses as one of the practice and unique feature that associate with Minangkabau culture. The Mufakat system is important to encourage everyone to involve in the decision-making process by giving the opportunity to voice out their opinion, suggestion and idea regardless their hierarchy levels of Adat Perpatih. Other Perpatih leaders also involved, such as Bapa Lembaga and Undang, and act as a guidance and reference during the process of decision making. Elders also need to play their roles as a role model by teaching the youngster to appreciate their culture and give their knowledge of Adat Perpatih history and practices. The last one is role of Malaysian government. In 2012, Adat Perpatih of Negeri Sembilan have been declared as one of the Malaysian National Heritage List in under the category of Intangible Cultural Heritage by the Ministry of Information and Communication of Malaysia. It creates a sense of pride and responsibility within the individual to protect and preserve the Adat Perpatih. To increase the student knowledge and understanding of fundamental concept of Adat Perpatih, the Ministry of Education have included Adat Perpatih in the history subject, encouraged the school authority in Negeri Sembilan to establish Adat Perpatih Club as curriculum activity, and organize more programs related to culture in Negeri Sembilan. In 2019, the President of Muslim Consumer Organisation Malaysia has established Pertubuhan Adat Resam dan Keris Malaysia Nusantara Pusantara to ensure that all society, especially young generation, to appreciate more on culture and traditions through community programs and build Malaysia identity. Thank you.
For your point of view, okay, what can I conclude that there are few agencies that have role in order to help Adat Perpatih sustain in the future society, which is the role of Negeri Sembilan government, the role of community, other than the role of Malaysian government. Thank you, Ms. Adwani. Okay, next I will move to speaker number 2, Ms. Asfaridun. Ms. Asfaridun, I would like to ask what is the challenges or issues arise from the Adat Perpatih practice?
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. So the first issue in Adat Perpatih for future society, whether it is still reliable for the next generation. Like in Adat Perpatih, they are practicing merantau, which means they are migrate in short period. They may return home after completing their purpose of traveling. In the old days, they will return home to serve for their village. There is a story told by the participant involved in the research where his father served for the army, so they moved to Singapore. But then he quit voluntary and returned home to manage the customary law at their village. But in today's life, many people of younger generations relocate to the city to improve their education, seek for a better career and living, and also marry to someone from another state. And many of them eventually settle down in a new location and begin a new life. So this practice is now rarely observed due to modernization and the migration of the younger generation. As a result, several of the Adat practice are no longer practiced. And the second issue is in Adat Perpatih, women leaders of each clan or suku are known as Ibu Soko. And the job of Ibu Soko is to uphold and pass down the custom. This day, it is challenging for the Ibu Soko in getting the younger generation interest in their Adat. Previously, even before a youngster could do anything wrong or get into trouble, a word would reach his mother that he was being watched by the entire town. But nowadays, people seems to lack the sense of community, and they just wanted to minding their own business. On the other hand, Ibu Soko plays an essential part in any occasion such as wedding. This is to ensure that the custom and traditions are followed correctly. But unfortunately, not all young people nowadays recognize the value of adhering to these traditions. And some even refuse to invite the Ibu Soko or the leaders to their marriage. So this show how oblivious they are to the significance of Adat. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, As, for the explanation. So to conclude, the challenges in keeping the adat Perpatih in the future society is whether it is still reliable for the next generation, and challenge in getting younger generation interest. So next, let's hear from Adib about the findings of Adat Perpatih.
Alright, thank you, moderator, for updating. Alright, so I will explain to you the finding that we can conclude from the Adat Perpatih. So the first one is muafakat. Muafakat ni consensus lah in English. So the muafakat is a matter and the principle in Adat Perpatih where it will influence every action and decision on a matter. So as a community that have hierarchy of the leader, and they will talk together, they will meet each other and talk together to get an agreement of the arising matter. So the important and characteristic of the decision making process were also illustrated by the involvement of the Adat Perpatih leader, such as the Buapak, Lembaga and Undang, with the rest of Adat Perpatih members. So the leader involvement in the decision making process show how important they are. So they will listen to each other and make the decision from the meeting. Alright, so the number two is authenticity of the identity. So as we know, every human being has a different ancestor, and as a generation connected to the perpetuation and the conveyance of the identity, either through the custom and the characteristic introduced by their ancestor lah. So if the Malay in Malaysia only have a range of the different parts, such as for the Malay, we have Bugis, Javanese and Banjar. So for especially for the Negeri Sembilan, we have the Minang people, which is representative of 12 tribes such as anak Aceh, anak Melaka, Tiga Batu, right? So in this context, this existing of the tribe indicate that each of them have their distinct identity, which is their own identity to represent their tribe. So the uniqueness of the tribe and the blood are different found in each other of individual. So nowadays, some of this identity have been disappeared. Society is more focused to the major and the bigger problem. So this identity increasing eroded as young people are no longer aware of their identity and the history of their ancestor at the time. Alright, so the last finding is Adat Perpatih focuses on the several things such as alright, the last thing is the preserve the culture of the Adat Perpatih. Alright, so that meaning that Adat Perpatih focuses on the several things such as the social organization and the political structure as well as a gender relation. So in Adat Perpatih, we prefer to the more to the woman than the man because the man can survive better than the woman. So that a gender relation in Adat Perpatih. So in Malaysia, there is only the one state that practice Adat Perpatih, which is Negeri Sembilan. So the other state have their basically have their own regulation, but at the same way, different from from the Negeri Sembilan, which is their apply the Adat Perpatih, only one in Malaysia. So it is a uniqueness where there is differences in the something, including the administration system. So therefore, to an understanding and desire of the local community in continuing of the legacy of Adat Perpatih is an obligation. So local people, especially the Malay, know their indigenous Perpatih part of the Negeri Sembilan. So they become their identity for the Malay. So the Malay of the Negeri Sembilan also known that Adat Perpatih is become part of their tradition and history and also their culture. So so to be heritage thing that have a start from the earlier time, it become a loss for the Malay if they don't preserve the adat. So therefore, the state government, the state government of Negeri Sembilan do several do multiple multiple way a few way to preserve the adat Perpatih, such as they do the Negeri Sembilan Year, visit Negeri Sembilan Year, and then the adat Perpatih festival. So where when they do the festival and the adat Perpatih Year, so they want the people know and they want the people exposed with the adat Perpatih, and then they want to people to study about the adat Perpatih, the uniqueness of the adat Perpatih. So as we hope that our state government and NGO, non-government or any student or institutional become more active to promote the adat Perpatih to the outsider. So if that's all for me. Thank you.
So there are several findings by Adib, such as consensus in its community, authenticity of identity, and preserve the culture of Adat Perpatih. So in conclusion, it is challenging to preserve the Adat and to keep it going. However, it is important because it teaches us mutual respect and also to maintain the order of the society. That's all from us. Thank you for joining this talk. Thank you.